That license plate frame on your car right now, the one the dealership installed, it could land you in jail for 60 days and cost you $500 in fines. But you may be thinking, I thought the Florida DMV issued a memo saying those tag frames are legal. Here's the problem. That memo is dangerously misleading. It only tells you about one law while ignoring two others that can actually send you to jail. I'm Tonio Rodriguez, a Florida board certified criminal trial lawyer. And today I'm cutting through that confusion to show you exactly which frames are legal, which ones can get you arrested, and why the DMV's advice may cause trouble. So let's start with what the DMV actually said. In December 2025, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles issued a memo to law enforcement. The memo said that frames covering myflorida.com at the top of the plate and Sunshine State at the bottom don't violate Florida law because those aren't quote unquote primary features. Only the plate number and the decals are primary features. When this memo came out, news outlets started saying tag frames are fine, don't worry about it. A lot of people breathed a sigh of relief. But here's what nobody's telling you. The memo only addressed one statute, Florida Statute 320.262, the brand new law that went into effect in October of last year. It said nothing about the other laws that have been on the books for years. And those two laws, well, they are much broader. And one of them can send you to jail for covering the very same things that the new law wouldn't bother you for, covering that myflorida.com and Sunshine State on your tag. So let me walk you through all the three statutes and show you why that memo is so misleading. The first statute is Florida Statute 316.605. This law has been around for decades. It requires that all letters, numerals, printing, writing, the registration decal, and the alphanumeric designation must be clear and distinct and free from defacement, mutilation, grease, and other obscuring matter, so that they will be plainly visible, that is the writing, the letters, and legible at all times 100 feet from the rear. Notice that it says all letters and all writing, not just the plate number and the decal, everything on the plate, including myflorida.com and Sunshine State. The DMV memo completely ignored the statute. Now, the good news is that violating the statute is only a civil traffic infraction. You get a ticket, you pay a fine. No arrest, no jail time. But here's the thing. If your frame completely covers myflorida.com or Sunshine State, you're violating this law regardless of what the DMV memo says, and you're exposing yourself to, at the very least, what is known in the law as a pretextual traffic stop, where the officer uses the technical violation as a pretext for a fishing expedition into an offense that he doesn't have a basis to stop you for. The second statute is Florida Statute 320.061, and this is the one that is most concerning because it is criminal. It makes it a second-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to 60 days in the county jail and up to a $500 fine to apply or attach any substance, reflective matter, illuminated device, spray, coating, covering, or other material onto or around any license plate which interferes with the legibility, angular visibility, or detectability of any feature or detail on the license plate. Look at that language. Any feature or detail, not just primary features like the new law specifies. Any feature. That means myflorida.com, Sunshine State, the little orange graphic, everything on the plate. The DMV memo also completely ignored this statute. Now, there is one catch with this law. They have to prove that you were the one who actually attached or applied it. So if the dealership installed the frame and you just drove off the lot, this probably doesn't apply to you. But if you bought it online and installed it yourself, you could face criminal charges. The third statute is the one the DMV memo actually addressed. Florida Statute 320.262. This law went into effect on October 1st, 2025, and it prohibits license plate obscuring devices designed to switch between multiple license plates, flip the plate to hide the number, cover or interfere with the primary features, quote unquote, which the law defines as the plate number and registration decal only, or block cameras from recording those primary features. This law has escalating penalties. Possession of one of those devices is a second-degree misdemeanor. That's 60 days in jail. Selling those devices is a first-degree misdemeanor. That's punishable by up to 1 year in jail. And using them to commit a crime is a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Here's the thing about this law. It was designed to target anti-enforcement devices, license plate flippers, camera blocking sprays, devices specifically made to avoid traffic cameras and toll readers. That's what the legislature was going after. And yes, it only prohibits covering primary features, which is why the DMV memo focused on this statute, that specific language. But the DMV memo made it sound like this is the only law that matters. And that's dangerously misleading because the other two laws, especially 320.061, are much broader in scope. Now, the DMV memo also cited a court case to support its position. It cited State versus Morris, a 2019 case, and said the case analyzed section 320.061, the criminal statute. But that's not right. That's not accurate. The Morris case actually analyzed section 316.605, the civil traffic infraction, not the criminal one. And what did Morris actually say? The court ruled that a frame that partially covered some letters was okay as long as all the words could still be clearly read from 100 feet away, as is required by the specific statute. The key word there is partially, okay? The court never said it's okay to completely cover words like myflorida.com or Sunshine State. So the DMV memo's conclusion that you can completely cover these words is based on a misreading of the case law. And more importantly, the memo never addressed whether completely covering those words would violate section 320.061, the criminal statute that can send you to jail. This is a problem because the memo, even if it had been a correct legal analysis, isn't really binding on law enforcement agencies. And there are police who have charged people under 320.061 and 316.605 for partially obscuring My Florida and Sunshine State. Let me show you how this plays out with 5 common situations. First, let's say John bought a car and the dealership installed a frame with their logo. It completely covers Sunshine State at the bottom, but it doesn't touch the plate number or the decal. According to the DMV memo, John should be fine because Sunshine State isn't a primary feature under section 320.262. But under section 316.605, John is violating the law because Sunshine State must be visible from 100 feet. That's a traffic ticket. And under section 320.061, it's potentially criminal if they can prove John installed it himself. Now, if the dealership installed it and John just drove away, he probably can't be charged criminally, but he could still get a traffic ticket under 316.605. Here's the second scenario. Tim bought a frame on Amazon and installed it. It covers the words at the top and the bottom, but not the plate number or the decal. According to the DMV memo, Tim should be fine, but under section 316.605, that's a traffic ticket. And under section 320.061, that's a criminal violation because Tim installed it himself. Up to 60 days in jail, $500 fine. The third scenario, Frances bought a tinted plastic cover from Walmart. It goes over her entire license plate. Frances is violating all 3 laws. Under 316.605, the tint prevents everything from being clear and distinct. Under 320.061, it's a criminal violation if she installed it. And under 320.262, it interferes with the primary features and prevents cameras from recording them clearly. These tinted covers are clearly illegal across the board. The fourth scenario, Sam really doesn't like red light cameras, so he installed a device that can flip his license plate to hide it. Plus, he sprayed it with reflective coating so cameras can't read it if he happens to forget to flip the license plate. Sam is violating all 3 laws. Under 316.605, there's a violation. Under 320.061, criminal violation because the spray is explicitly prohibited as a coating or spray. Under 320.262, Serious violation because the flipper device is explicitly prohibited. And if he uses it while committing a traffic crime or other crime, it could become a third-degree felony, up to 5 years in prison. Sam is in the most trouble of anyone here. These devices are specifically what Section 320.262 was designed to target. Here's the last scenario. Joe runs an online shop selling camera blocking sprays, license plate flippers, and similar devices. Joe isn't driving with these devices, so Section 316.605 and 320.061 don't apply to him directly. But under Section 320.262, selling these devices is a first-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year in jail and $1,000 fine. All right, let me make this simple for you. Always illegal. Stay away from these. Tinted or smoked license plate covers, any spray or coating or reflective materials, license plate flippers or switching devices, and frames that cover your plate number or registration decal. Legal gray area, risky territory, frames that completely cover Sunshine State. Then DMV says these don't violate the new law, Section 320.262, and that's technically true, but they likely violate Section 316.605, which means you can get a traffic ticket. And they may violate Section 320.061, which means you could face jail time if you install them yourself. A suggestion: it's not worth the risk. What's probably safe? Thin frames that don't touch any letters, numbers, or words, or frames that only partially obscure letters but keep all words clearly readable from 100 feet. If you want zero legal risk, use a frame that sits completely outside the printed area of your license plate, or don't use a frame at all. And if you're buying a car, tell the dealership you don't want that license plate frame, or ask for one that doesn't touch any printed area. Look, Florida license plate laws are confusing. The new law, Section 320.262, was meant to target people evading traffic cameras, not everyday drivers with dealership frames. But the two older laws are still on the books and enforceable, and they're much broader than most people realize. The DMV memo tried to clarify things, but only made it worse by giving people a false sense of security about one law while ignoring the other two. If you have been cited or arrested for a license plate violation, call a criminal defense attorney immediately. These laws are complex, and there are defenses available depending on your situation. I'm Camilo Rodriguez, a Florida board-certified criminal trial lawyer. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I break down Florida criminal laws so that you can stay informed and protect your rights. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.